please give me a thumbs up if you can hear me and you can see my screen. I'm sharing my screen with you now. Okay. Please just give me a thumbs up to let me know that you can see my screen and you can hear me loud and clearly. All right. Thank you, Koketo. Thank you, Dorian. All right. Awesome. Perfect. Okay. All right. Now let's proceed. Today our lesson is not all that long. But let's get into it nonetheless. Okay. So where's that? Okay. Okay. So again, we scroll down to view my transcript. Today we only want to do lesson 3. If we look at lesson 3, what is that all about? It's about suppliers. Okay, so we just want to go through our suppliers and understand all of that. Okay. All right, how do we take care of our suppliers? How do we look at that kind of stuff? Again, guys, I recommend that you obviously read the manual. All right, after having gone through the slides, before going through the slides. Okay, so we've launched that. Okay, so yesterday we were on administration. Today we're going to suppliers. Okay, lesson 3. Okay. All right, so those are the topics that we have there under suppliers. Okay. All right, so let's start with categories. Categories. Okay. Now, when we're talking about categories, we're talking about a situation where we are putting our suppliers into categories for their supplies. All right. You can use categories to group your supplier accounts for reporting purposes, since supplier reports can be printed per category. Okay, so how do we actually get to creating a supplier? I will show you now. Okay, let's do this. Okay, does someone say something in the chat? Oh, maybe that's an email that I'm receiving. It's fine. Okay, nope. Stop what I'm looking for. I want a different tab. I think that's the one I'm looking for. Nope. Okay, this is the one I was looking for. And what did I want to show you guys? I wanted to show you how we get to suppliers. Let's log in. Okay, let's log out. Fine. Okay, we go back in the demo company. Okay, so you just go hover on suppliers, and then you go to supplier lists, and then you can go to supplier categories. Okay, and then whilst you're here, then we can obviously click on add categories as they have, and then we obviously name the category. Okay, so I just wanted to quickly show you that. Okay, click on add categories button as we had done, and then this has come up. Enter the category description and click on save button. Okay, you can say save and new. If you do that, then you can create another category and you can just keep on creating categories. But if you click save, then you will move on. You will move on from that. Okay. Now, before I go any further, I want to play this video for you guys in relation to the supplier categories. Okay. Okay. Let me know if you can't hear. Okay, cool. Everybody is happy. Okay, so before I actually play the video, this is in relation to so you can actually, let me show you, you can actually import. Okay, so let's go back here, supplier categories. Okay, so you can create a supplier category by saying add category, right? Or you can actually import categories. So when you import categories, this is where you will end up. All right. And so basically, if you've already saved your supplier category categories on a CSV file, then you just need to upload that CSV file, and obviously then just fill in the necessary details. So this would be supplier categories, and then obviously here you would put the date according to how it is on that file, and then you would click next. Okay, but I don't have a file that I can use as an illustration. That's why I'm playing the video for you guys. All right, so let's go there. Let's see how they go about this. All right, and I hope you guys will be able to hear. Okay, so that didn't quite transpire as I thought it would. Okay, I thought they were going to actually show you the importing of the data categories in the file. So what happens when you get to match import file fields is that then you are just matching, what each of these category things are, and then finally this, when you now click on next after the second point, what will then be happening is that at this point it will tell you whether it managed to actually match the data that you have inserted in the file versus the file names that you've also given on the second tab. All right, so that's what 3 is all about, and then you'll probably just click finished or next, and then it will upload those categories into your Sage profile. Okay, all right, but that clearly has not happened. I think one thing that he mentioned that was good though is you go to supplier categories. He did also mention that you can get reports. So here they've categorized into international, local, and national. Okay, as he said, you can also categorize by way of product and so forth, so forth. Okay, so just so that was worth mentioning as well. And obviously you can go to reports and you have lots of reports over there. But anyway, let's proceed. I'm sure in the slides we'll be talking about those things as well. So moving on to master files, okay, supplier master files. You need to create your suppliers to enable you to buy supplies or items from them. So typically you want to create your supplier categories and you want to create your suppliers before you start actually processing your purchases, all right, of goods. The reason you need to create your suppliers first before customers and items is to assess the market for suppliers that offer good prices and good quantity items. Okay, so when it comes to adding suppliers, after you've created your supplier categories, all right, you just will go to suppliers, then lists, and then list of suppliers. Okay, all right, practically speaking, to show you guys that suppliers, list of suppliers. Can you see that? This is why I was saying it's easy. Today we're only focusing on suppliers. But once you know, okay, this is where suppliers is, everything pertaining to suppliers is here. You don't need to go anywhere else, okay? There are other ways to get to information that you would need from your suppliers from other sections, but if you want to keep your life simple and easy, then you know, okay, I need something in relation to my suppliers, I just come here, okay? Then here, like we said, you then click on add a supplier, okay, if you want to create a supplier. Okay, let's just go back one. Okay. So let's go back to our slides. So that's how you can add a supplier. You can also import suppliers. So again, you would need a CSV file to do that. And then as you see, when I clicked on add suppliers, this is the screen that came up. The new supplier screen will be displayed. We will look at the fields over the next slide. Okay, we'll look at the details here basically in relation to adding a new supplier. Okay, all right, so here obviously you're adding in the name of the supplier. You would have created your categories. Can you see what I was saying? You have to create your categories first, okay? If you're going to create categories, you don't necessarily have to use it, but if you want to actually use the category function, then you have to create it first so that when you've created your suppliers, you then can obviously allocate them as you have intended. Okay, right. Then here, you select the applicable category drop-down menu. All right, if the supplier does not belong to a category, leave it. You can leave it blank. You don't have to use this function. Then opening balance. So this is assuming you have been trading with your supplier. That's the only way you will actually have an opening balance. Okay. If the supplier has an opening balance, enter the balance into this field. Okay. Then you're going to enter the date from which this opening balance actually transpired from. Okay. Or was realized. Okay. Then here, active. What is this all about? Active is about, is this supplier actually active? All right, are we interacting? Are we sorry, transacting with this supplier or not? So check this checkbox if the supplier is an active supplier, open for transacting. If this checkbox is unchecked, you will not be able to process transactions for this supplier. So take note of that. If you don't check that box, then you won't be able to make payments to the supplier, buy goods from the supplier on the system. Okay, so you have to check that box if that supplier is actually indeed someone that you want to transact with on the system. But I would assume you would definitely want to do so, because then why would you be adding them? Okay, unless maybe you are just trying to record previous transactions. Okay, but they're no longer active, but you'd still have to do that just to insert the transactions. All right, then enter the credit limit for the supplier if applicable. Okay, so in other words, how much money can you take out? Sorry, let me say, how much stock or product can you buy from this supplier on credit? Okay. All right. Then obviously the VAT reference. Here you would enter in the VAT number for the supplier. All right. Enter the supplier's company VAT or tax reference number in this field. This is a very important field to complete, as it has become the norm for supplier company VAT/tax references to appear on any transaction related document. Okay, then finally here you got allocate payments, all right, to oldest invoices. Okay, I don't really like this function because I think it creates room for things being allocated, payments being allocated to the wrong invoices. Okay, what it does is it automatically, if I had an old invoice that I haven't yet settled with this supplier, any payments that are made towards the supplier will automatically go towards being allocated to those invoices, those old invoices. Okay, which sometimes, in business, yes, I owe you some money and I'm still paying that off, but it doesn't mean we're not doing some other transactions, more recent transactions. Okay, so that's where I have an issue with it, but it's also a very good feature. All right, the auto allocate payments to oldest invoice check box is automatically checked when creating a new supplier. So it's automatically checked, which notifies the system to automatically allocate the supplier's payments to the oldest invoices. Okay, so you need to basically change that if you would rather that not be the case, like myself. Okay, right, I'm just waiting for this to load. Okay, but now let me take you to the screen where this is all taking place. Maybe in the meantime. Wrong one. Okay. Let's go to list of suppliers. Okay, so that's actually where we are. Oh my goodness. So I'm clicking on one of the suppliers there. Why is it not opening up? Oh, it's loading. Okay, so this is where we are. Can you see that? Okay, can you see that? That's all the information that we are currently looking at. So I just wanted to show you, when you now click on a current supplier, you get all the information there. So we're currently on details. But let's go back to our slides and proceed from there. Okay, so I'm clicking on details. Okay, All right, here you are entering the details of the supplier. So postal address, physical address, okay, contact details, all right. Then your default settings, okay. Do we have discounts that we naturally offer the suppliers? Default VAT type, all right, is VAT applicable? Are they standard rated supply? All right. Due date for payments, all right. Enter end of current month, okay. All right. You will enter your supplier's postal. Okay. Nothing important that they are notifying us of there. Then activity. This is basically all the transactions that have transpired between you and this particular supplier. All right. This tab displays the opening balance and the value of all invoices, okay, returns, and payments, as well as the balance of the account. Okay, you can drill down to the documents making up the balance by clicking on the detail link. Okay, so basically what we're saying is, if you want to expand and see how many invoices, how many invoices do we actually have with the supplier, what's making up this 12 million, you then would click on the details. If you want to see payments, how many payments have we actually paid towards this supplier, okay, and I think that would be worthwhile checking out. So when you think activity, just think this is all the transactions that we've had between ourselves and this supplier. There you can see that 12 million, where it's all coming from, all those payments. Can you see all the payments that we've made towards the supplier? Okay, right, and we can do the same thing for your returns, stuff that we've given back, and obviously for your supplier invoices. Okay, then after activities, we have additional contacts. So maybe we have other people within that supplier's firm that we also engage with, and we want to keep their details, and then we can add them there. So you just click the green button to add, and then obviously the red button or pink button to remove those. Okay, then banking details. In the banking details tab, you are allowed to enter the banking details of the supplier if you need to pay the supplier. Okay, I'm assuming this is something that we would definitely need to do, okay, particularly if we plan on paying the supplier through Sage. Okay, but it would be good practice just to do nonetheless. Okay, all right. And then notes, all right. The notes tab is where you will find or create notes linked to the specific supplier account. Okay, these notes are displayed in the company dashboard until they have been marked as completed. So maybe we have to make a payment towards the supplier, or we need to return goods to the supplier. We can come here and we can make a note. So let's go there. All right, can you see the date is already in there? And I click there, and then I make my my note, whatever it may be. Need to action date, actually, sorry. So we want that to be today. Okay, so this is the date we entered, this is the date it must be actioned, which is today. Subject, return goods. Okay, then obviously return damaged, let me say damaged merchandise. Okay, then all I would do is click the plus button. Can you see the note has been added? Okay, right, awesome stuff, right, and then we can leave it at that. Okay, so let's go back. All right, those are your notes. Okay. Then, all right. This tab details the named and or unused user-defined fields for your suppliers. These fields can be created in your company settings under the user-defined fields section. Okay, awesome stuff. So yeah, these user-defined fields, I did Google it because I just didn't find or couldn't find the best way to explain it for myself. But here, all right, what is user-defined field? Okay, user-defined fields are custom fields that can be added to almost any table in Sage 100. Okay, let me scroll up. I remember reading a good one. User-defined fields are custom fields you create to track information specific to certain subject areas, such as projects, activities, resources, issues, or risks. For example, you can track additional activity data, such as delivery dates and purchase order numbers. Okay. All right. So yeah, if you wanted to create something specific, you know, I think the best one, because since we have talked about task, I would then talk about what you call it, delivery dates. Okay, you could do that, and then here you have yes or no, so you could tick it off if the delivery has happened. Then obviously you can leave it blank if it has not happened. Okay. Okay, and you find that some are not value orientated, they're numerical values. Okay, so if it's numerical values, what you're saying is that, okay, how do I say this? So for instance, if the task was to complete 10 projects, then you would have to, then you can then put 10 in the field, or you can put in 5 if only 5 projects were completed. All right, and data values, date values is this task needs to be completed by this date. So if it's completed by that date, then you obviously will then click in and actually put in the date. If it was later, then you put in that date. Okay, so those are your user fields, but I don't think you guys will be necessarily needing to use those. Okay. Okay, what's going on now? Okay, there we go. Okay. Personal information. Okay, personal information. That tab is not working. Let's try and see on this right here. What are they going to? Okay, see, personal information there is also not working. Not too sure what personal information they would have there. But here you can see this is a purchases graph. So what they're showing you here is Sage Accounting will display a graph of the annual values per month in the purchases graph. Okay, so they're comparing last year to this year, and I'm sure if you show your settings, you can then adjust it to different time periods if you wanted to do something like that. So let's go there. Right, and show settings. Okay, so here it's actually about what you want to actually display. Okay, so I see here all things are just in relation to the supplier. Okay, no, it's fine. All right, that's fine. Let's move on. Purchase orders. All right, so we're going to talk more about what purchase orders are. Okay, up until this point with your accounting, we've only talked about invoices. All right, but we haven't spoken about purchase orders. Okay, we'll talk about exactly what purchase orders are, but here you will see all the purchase orders that you've had with this supplier, unpaid invoices, all the invoices that they've issued us but we haven't paid for. Okay, we're yet to pay. Then here, obviously, you will have your reports. Okay, layouts of those reports. All right, what type of layout do you want? You will select it or choose here. Do we have anything else? I don't think we have anything else because it's not scrolling. And that is your supplier master files. So when we say master files, we're saying, you know, the information pertaining to that supplier. Okay, that's what we're saying. So don't let these big words or these new words, you know, kind of intimidate you, like, wow, what's going on here? Okay, right. Then here we have supplier master files. Again, we're going back to our list of suppliers, and here, okay, so here's what I was telling you about importing suppliers. So if you have a CSV file, okay, then you can, you know, pull that in. Again, they did not show the mapping, all right, and then finally the CSV import results. Okay, right, so that's importing suppliers. Then also we can delete suppliers. How do we do that? Click on that and then delete. Okay, that's one of two ways. Okay, the other way that you could delete is you click on that and then you go to action. I can show you on this side so that you guys can see that. So let's scroll up. Let's go back to supplier list of suppliers. So this is what I was saying. You click here. Once you click there, you've checked that supplier. Then you can click and then you can see. You can delete if you want to, or you can edit. All right, or you can do quick view. All right, so that's a quick shortcut. All right, to whatever you want to quickly action. All right, so that's deleting. Then making active or inactive. We actually went through this. You just, you know, click there. Okay, and then uncheck or check, and there you go. All right, or you can do it over there. You can do it over here. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Awesome stuff. Okay. This. Okay. So that's that. Update. What is update? Oh, updates. Okay. So there's various things that you can update over there. Okay. So that there is then your update feature. Then here, this is obviously to search. So if you want to look for a supplier, and then if you want to filter something, suppliers I've bought from, okay, today, okay, suppliers you bought from the last month, okay. So filtering, you know, you're looking for specific category or group of suppliers that fall into a certain demographic or, you know, represent certain data. Then here you're ordering your suppliers. Can you see that you're ordering them by the contact name? Okay, can you see now what they did there? They did it from the last name or the later names in the alphabet. All right, instead of operating from A, they've been operating from Z. Okay, and that's why you have William here, William Adams, as your first. Okay, so you could order your suppliers by way of category, balance, etc., etc., all these things. Okay. All right, then you've got your CSV. Okay, so that's if you want to download a list of your suppliers. Can you see your suppliers are all there? Okay, they are all your suppliers. Okay, all right, then that's for you to customize your grid. There you can see if you want to include certain columns that are not there, if you want to remove certain columns that are there. There we've added in email. Okay, so now we can see the email for our respective clients. Okay, and there they just reset it to bring it back to its default. Okay, so that's just to customize your grid. Then quick reports. Okay, so this is a report for a list of our suppliers. And there you have it, if you want a proper report of the list of the suppliers. Okay, I think let's just give that another look. Okay, so quick reports. Can you see quick reports? All right, you can purchases by supplier. Okay, days outstanding. Okay, or your age analysis, as we call it in accounting. All right, and then your supplier statements. Okay, if you want to have a look at that, your supplier transaction listing, and then your supplier unallocated receipts. Okay. All right, so there's quite a few quick reports that you can quickly get. Okay, remember what Sage is striving for is, all right, is simplicity and convenience. That's what's something that they pride themselves in. So guys, I think let's take a break. Let's take a break, and we can come back at 11. This is not a very long unit, and then we will wrap up those last two sections once we are back. Okay, I don't know if there are any questions or thoughts. All right, but let's get together at 11.